Hi, what's going on guys? It's Almond. Welcome back to another Wizard101 video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the museum, the guild museum that everyone is keep wondering about. Like, what is this museum thing that they added into guilds, right? And there hasn't been any video that I've seen on YouTube that has really explained or even posted about, because people have just been so focused on the main story. Granted, I have been doing the same thing. I've been posting so many other videos regarding test realm. Just the museum was on my mind. It's just there's so many other things I need to cover. So we'll talk all about the museum. What's actually the point of it? Do you need to do this at all in your guild? Those little things, we'll talk all about that type of stuff. So if you do enjoy this type of content, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that type of stuff. Join the Discord if you haven't. There is a giveaway currently going on in the Discord for reaching 400 members. Definitely will do more in the Discord down the line. Plan for a lot of things in there soon. So now let's talk about the museum. What is the museum? What's the point? Whatever. So to get started in the museum, right, just to even get the introduction, there is a quest that you have to do, right? And once you do that quest, you get introduced into the museum. The way you get the quest is just by going to your guild house, and Finn is just chilling there waiting for you to talk to him. So once you talk to him, he gives you like a brief like thing that you need to do, and you need to go to the Royal Museum and you do basically finish this quest. Once you finish this quest, you'll be able to unlock the museum for your guild. It requires another person to do it, at least on test realm. Of course, the numbers are gonna vary once it does happen in live realm, but once you get all that unlocked, you're able to actually view the museum and just see what everything is, right? It's gonna seem like a lot of like confusing things everywhere, so give it like a couple and like bear with me, right? Bear with me, and you'll see what I mean by this museum stuff is very interesting to a certain degree, right? So for this premise, I'm gonna use Cam's guild at the moment because I've already done this. I've already done this before on test realm, but with the recent reset, I have to redo everything again. So I don't know if I'm going to, just due to the fact that it's a lot of time I have to put aside. But once you get everything settled in, you can talk to Ian, and then also you need quintessent cores. Quintessent cores are essentially, to put it in easy terms, is they basically require you to have a bunch of people to be there to cantrip. The more players you have to cantrip, the better the museum elixir you get. We'll call it the museum elixir. Now once you get the museum elixir, it scales down your stats to what Avalon would be, because currently only Avalon is accessible at the moment. It will scale down your stats accordingly to the area down the line of, you know, whatever door we get, but essentially scales down your stats to the area you're in. So for now, it's going to be Avalon only at the moment. Now what you do is, the whole premise is to go to Avalon, because at the moment, like I said, only Avalon is accessible at the moment. And the whole premise behind this is there's different tiers in the museum. Basically, you have to unlock them, turn them into bronze, and then once you finish all of them to bronze, you can get all the silver ones, and there's more areas to unlock that are silver. And then once you get all of those to silver, then you unlock the higher areas, basically get everything to gold, etc. Now that is a lot. Now each thing is going to require different material. Each material is from enemies in Avalon, so it'll say like on the description of like who you have to fight, whatever, and you go to those specific areas, fight them, but you want to make sure you have the elixir active. If you don't have the elixir active, you will not get the drops. Once you get those drops, you can, you know, depot them at the museum to basically fill up the bar. Now once you fill up all the bars, like I said, you can tier up the museum to different tiers, like, you know, bronze, silver, gold, etc. Now what do you get from doing the museum? What are the drops? Like, oh, why am I doing this whole museum stuff? Now at the moment, from what it seems like at the test realm, it's just exclusive footage or exclusive furniture that you can get from the museum. So like if you are a housing type of person, this is going to be something that's up your alley. And essentially they made this so players can just keep busy, right? Now let's say down the line people get bored of the raids, because like eventually people are going to get bored with the Hun Hao raid after they get all the gear or whatever. players are not going to have much to do in guilds. This basically is a way to keep people busy and be like, hey, you know, I have Azoth, I have time, you know, let's go farm some random bosses, some enemies in Avalon, and hey, let's get to work, let's unlock this museum stuff and whatever. And obviously what it is in test room is just one drop at the moment. You just need one drop per mob or whatever, depending on the mob that you need to fight, and you can just easily like complete the area. But when it comes to live realm, it's going to be in the hundreds, 200s according to Cam. So judging by that, players are going to have to get busy. Of course, you can do this with, it's basically incentivizing you to do it with 2 people, but the more the merrier. So obviously there's different elixirs, right? You basically get like the basic one, the basic museum elixir, with only having like, I believe like two players. But if you have, I think like 6 or 8, I believe, you can get the, you know, the museum, let's just call it the better museum elixir, just to not confuse the names. But the better museum elixir basically gives you better drops, and it's basically the whole point of it. So it's the more players, the better drops. That's the whole point of it. So it's incentivizing groups. And basically the easiest way to do this and try to tier up your museum quick is going to have multiple teams and having like spreadsheets, whatever, organizing everything. Eventually I will make a video separately for that, of like efficient way of doing the museum, because at the moment I'm kind of working towards that in test realm. Of course, players are already working on slides. I think Jax at the moment is working on slides, or working on I guess Google Sheets, but eventually I'm going to make slides of where everything is, so players can just look at it without having to go to the museum, back forth, and you can keep track of it, make it easier for players. So eventually that video will be down the line once it comes into live realm. But since this is test realm, I don't want to put stuff on there that players are just gonna be like, well, this has changed, Almond, and I have to go back and tweak a lot of things, whatever. So each time there's going to be like a new door, I guess every so test realm. Like obviously I don't see another door coming next test realm. Probably the test realm after that I can see it happening, but they're just going by worlds. Now the one thing that is like eye-catching in this, at least to me, is they put the rematch in here. They put a boss rematch, the Pendragon rematch. Now I'm clueless to why exactly they put that behind the museum. Now, to me, that incentivizes me, because I'm like, hey, I need to go do this, right? Because if this is how rematches are going to be down the line, now, why would I go craft it from the arena, right? Because the whole premise of the Pendragon rematch is to have spellements. There's going to be Art 2 spellements that are going to be in there. So that's the eye-catching thing. Now, at the moment in Test Realm, they're only dropping Arc 1 spellements, and of course Arc 2 spellements haven't even been announced, but down the line they will be Arc 2 spellements. So it's like this thing of, well, if this comes into live realm, why would I gun all the way to the rematch, but if I go do the rematch, I'm only getting Arc 1 spellements and like Skyfarer gear that's only like 160. There's the issue. Now, of course, this is probably just like a temporary thing. Maybe they're not even going to keep the rematch in there permanently. I think it's only here for test round, but who knows if it makes it all the way to live round. If it makes it all the way to live round, to me it gives me incentive to just do it, have the rematch, whatever, and be able to do it whenever I want and make a better video of just how to do the fight. Because of course things are changing for the Pendragon rematch, because there is some cheats in there that need to be adjusted. Of course, they are using spells that are like higher level than us. Like they're using Lemuria spells when this is an Avalon key boss or Avalon rematch. So it's going to get tweaked, and it's going to have spells that are corresponding to like that arc, because Lemuria is a whole separate arc than Avalon. So it'll get adjusted to like Celestial Calendar and like stuff like that revolves around that arc. Which is pretty good. I mean, I got to test out as much as I could on the rematch. I mean, 3 hours of testing out the rematch is pretty good. I got a good understanding of the cheats and how to do it properly. But I did get some clarification between Cam, between the fights. So I'll have that video down the line of how to do the rematch properly. But it's still, beyond that, the museum to me is just an exclusive way of getting all this housing thing for players that really enjoy housing. Now, the housing community is there. It's not like a dead community. It's there. People like decorating their housing. I've seen a lot of players who like enjoying that stuff, and there's some stuff that's in there that players like because the statues are in there of King Artorias. I believe Morganth is in there, and all these other things. So players are wanting to do it to a certain extent. Now, the only thing is it's kind of locked behind guilds, which I honestly think it's fine because it's kind of incentivizing players to like do the guild stuff, because a lot of people just gunned and maxed out all their guilds just by like either doing trading and whatever like that. This you can't really do trading for. This actually requires you to play the game and go farm, because all the other areas people just, you know, did whether either went on like trading discords, whatever, got a bunch of Azoth, unlocked everything, and GG. Now this one requires a little bit more work, so now I think honestly I think that's how it should be, instead of just going through external ways and stuff like that. Now I get it for like content sake, like, oh, I'm just gonna buy all this Azoth and then just, you know, slap it on my guild house and just unlock everything. I get that, but this actually requires grinding, which I prefer personally. Even though I'm a content creator or whatever, but I still prefer the fact that like, hey, you gotta go grind, man. Like, you can't just cheese this, you actually gotta go grind. Yeah, I can still use Scald and Incendiate, but hey, I can still go out my way and go farm this. Now it's just gonna depend on the players on how much they're going to be involved in the museum, because at the moment you have a couple groups in test realm that are testing it. Of course, like I was testing it. I believe there's a few other guilds that I saw that were roaming around in Avalon on test realm. And of course, if you're roaming around on Avalon in test realm, you're most likely doing the museum, because I don't know why you would be in Avalon if you weren't there for the museum, because Walru's out in test realm, so wouldn't you test that? So it just adds up way too much. So I did see a lot of people roaming around testing stuff, and there is a lot of glitches, of course, but I mean, hey, it's test realm. I'm hoping that they improve on all these glitches and it doesn't make its way to live realm, because there was some things at the beginning of the museum which I struggled with that did have a lot of issues that were stopping me from even progressing and tearing up the museum. And another thing is there's different areas for the museum, so like each things you have to farm. So you got to unlock an area and be like, hey, I need to grind out these 4 things or 5 things from these enemies. I need to go get all that stuff and then max it out to 100%, etc. So it incentivizes a lot of grinding. I think players will enjoy it, but I'm hoping that there's more to the museum, right? Because at the moment it just seems like an exclusive housing area that players can get housing items for. Cool, but I do want to see more. I kind of do want to see more. I don't know what they could add, because I tried suggesting like stitching stuff, but that doesn't seem like that's gonna happen. Rematches, I think that's a good way of keeping the rematches, but I still think that they should still keep the rematches that we have, how we usually do it with like the Jade Oni and stuff like that, or like you can craft it, whatever. I think still have that option. Don't lock it behind the guild. I think for now you can lock it behind there, but once Arc 2 rematches do officially come out, I think toss them in like the boss rematch thing in the arena. Don't lock it behind guilds. You can lock it behind guilds to incentivize players at the moment, but down the line I think it should be in the rematches as in the intended way. But I do like the concept of just like, you know, you just buy it with Azoth. Of course it's not going to be 1 Azoth once it comes into live realm, but I do like the idea of just tossing it in your raid gate. What if you're bored of the raids and or like you don't have enough people to do raids? Hey, just toss that key into the raid key and you can do essentially a pendragon raid rematch, which to me, that sounds fire. I would like to see them toss in the other ones too, not gonna lie. I don't think it has any harm, but of course that would have to wait to depending on the door, because the door depends on what they're going to add into the shop. So if it's an Avalon stuff, there's going to be Avalon stuff in there. Of course, when they add Mushu stuff, they'll have Mushu stuff in there, etc. Now, of course, when they add like specific doors, I think they'll incentivize other players, because some people want Avalon stuff, some people don't. I don't know why exactly they started with Avalon. I kind of expect them to start off with Celestia, if anything. Because they could have done the Celestia rematch if there's ever going to be one, which I assume there is, since there's a Pendragon one. I expect all the Arc 2 ones to, you know, get changed or have one or whatever. So I feel like they should have done Celestia, but I think there's a lot of housing stuff in Avalon. I think that's why they started with Avalon particularly. But I mean, hey, it depend. I don't know exactly how they're gonna order these doors, but at the moment we just only have Avalon. and I don't know when we'll get more. And I think they're just gonna slowly add all these doors where you can just pick and choose these doors and do whatever. So overall, TLDR, do you want to do the museum? Only if you care about the housing stuff. It's not something of importance that you should do immediately. I think it's something that you just slowly do at your own pace and work towards. It's not something that's like equivalent to like a raid where like you need to gear up, whatever. You can literally just wear whatever gear, and once you get scaled down with the elixir, it really doesn't make the fights as difficult. Of course, when you're soloing, it's a little bit more difficult, but of course they need to tweak how the spells work and stuff like that, because they need to put a lot of level locking on this stuff, because we're able to use like enchants that are like from Arcanum, like of course when you haven't been to the Arcanum in Avalon. So there's some tweaking that needs to be done, a lot of bug fixes, a lot of things that need to be changed. But overall, I think it's a cool thing that it gives guilds to do right as a team, and I think that's the whole premise behind it. But we'll just have to see what players think of it as a whole. Now, you guys let me know what you guys think about it. Of course, I will make like an actual guide to the museum down the line via slides in the Discord, but I have a lot of other things to go do at the moment, so that's why I'm like, it's on my list of things I need to do, of course, with like the Hun House stuff and all the other stuff I need to do. It's on my list. Now, I don't have to prioritize it immediately because I have time, but there will be a list of all these things in the Discord. And of course, I'll do another video of how to do this properly. This is just more of like, what is the museum, to get people like hey, now I know what it is, type thing. But if people want to actually do it, I will of course do a video of how to do the museum properly. This is kind of just like a video of just like, hey, now you guys know it, and I can judge if players are actually interested in the museum or not, moving forward. But like I said, the only thing that's in there right now is just housing stuff and that rematch key. That's it. Now take that with a grain of salt if you guys want to do this or not. I obviously am going to do it whenever I get the time in live realm, but I'm probably going to prioritize Wallaroo more than anything. Once I get all the Wallaroo gear and I'm kind of decked out with whatever gear set videos I need to, then I'll move over to the museum and start working on that. But I don't think I'm gonna treat it as like a #1 priority, just because Wallaroo is more of a priority because of all the gear changes and stuff like that. So there's that. But overall, hopefully you guys got like a better understanding of what the museum is. Like I said, it's just you're getting an elixir, you get this elixir, you can scale down your level, and you have to have that elixir to get all the drops to basically complete all these portraits in the museum, and then just keep leveling them up to a certain point. And then you can get access to different rewards at different tiers in the museum. So bronze, silver, gold, etc. So there's that, if you guys wanted to know about that. So hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all type of stuff. Join Discord if you guys haven't. If you guys have any more questions about the museum, let me know in the comments below. I will do my best to elaborate a little bit more if I need to. But there will be a better video where I do like a complete breakdown of the museum and hopefully like a better way of farming all these things. So there's that. But that is it, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.